Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to show you some videos of go-arounds and aborted landings. When flying on the backcountry, especially of airport, you do inspection passes, but even when you commit to land, you're closer and slower. You can see some things you didn't see in the inspection passes, so you have to abort the landing. Or maybe you don't like the approach, you are coming too fast, too high, so there's many reasons to abort the landing. This is a Grabar in Skycomish. I didn't like my approach, so what I'm doing in this one, this is a go around because I am coming back and I'm doing the landing. We call the aborted landing when you just don't land and you don't come back for a landing. Now I'm doing a better approach and I'm coming back for a landing. So especially flying off airport, you always have to have an out. So you're ready to touch down and you don't like it, you can go around or abort the landing. This bar is short, so my approach, I wanted to make sure I was going very slow.
Pressure.
Now I'm going to show you guys a go around. It's kind of late and scary, but successful.
See, look! Who is that?
I just saw he was too fast, so he did a go around and it worked well. Now here is the landing. I think it is a great idea to practice go arounds so that it happens, it doesn't take you by surprise. This is Samara airstrip in Costa Rica. In this case, it will be an aborted landing. From far away we could not see it very well, but as soon as we started to get closer, I could see there were some animals on the runway. We did a lower pass and we found out there were some cows and they were not tied to anything, so they were loose. So in this case, we opted just to abort the landing and go somewhere else. This is not the first time I have found animals on airstrips in Costa Rica. It happens quite often. Here is another great reason to abort a landing. In this case, the conditions are perfect, but once are turned into final to land on this Grabar, the sun is right directly into my eyes and I can see nothing. So it would have been very dangerous to do this landing. In this case, it was an aborted landing. I could not see the obstacles, the rocks, nothing, or holes, so it made no sense to try to land in these conditions. Something nice about landing on gravel bars is that most of the time you have an exit, you have a way out to do a late go around, a late aborted landing, because usually you are next to a river and you are not next to rising terrain. In this case, I just didn't feel I liked my approach, so I just aborted this landing. I could tell from far away I had some tailwind, not much, but since these gravel bars are short, I want to make sure I have a headwind. The approach from the other end have big logs, so it's risky to land that way. Here is another example of an aborted landing. Just before entering over the river, I started to feel that it was kind of windy, some turbulence, and one of my own rules is I don't do gravel bars when it's turbulent or windy because we go so slow that it is dangerous. So I decided to abort the landing. I can just go and try another day when the conditions are much better. Not need to risk it. This area is in Washington State, in the Cascade Mountains. It's high altitude, about 5,700 feet. So in this case, I need to take into consideration the density altitude for my landing because the ground speed increases at higher altitude, but especially for my takeoff. This area is plenty long for a landing, but what I don't like is that I'm going to touch down at faster ground speed, and I saw that rocks were sharp, some holes. I was on my own, so I decided not to do it. As you can see, there are many reasons to abort landings. You have to think in advance of absolutely everything. And if you start seeing things you don't like, it's better to abort, come another day, or if it looks dangerous, don't come back at all. I must confess that I was very tempted to land in this area because the place is very remote, it is beautiful, and the conditions were good. But with years of experience, you start to think more and then evaluate more, and when you have the feeling, you just go for it, land, or go for it and do not land. I land at this gravel bar very often, so I did not do an inspection pass. At this landing you have to make a left turn before the gravel bar, so it's kind of blind. To my surprise, once we finished the turn there were a ton of birds, and there's no way I was going to land on this gravel bar with this amount of birds, so I decided to do an aborted landing. The way I do the go around or an aborted landing is I smoothly grab the flaps and start reducing flaps and start to add power smoothly. I do not pitch up violently, I don't do anything violently, so everything is a smooth process. So here is another reason to abort landing birds, which is the same as cows, they are animals. This is an approach to Dogleg, Washington State, Still River. In this case, it's 110 degrees to the right and then turn to the left for landing. I didn't like the conditions of the gravel bar, so I aborted this landing. This is a pretty challenging landing in the Cessna 182 because you have to come at very slow speeds and make first turn to the right, then turn to the left for the landing. If everything is not working out perfect, it's better to abort the landing, plenty of room to go. I saw too many plants, too many branches. This is a nose gear airplane where the propeller is low. I did not want to risk it, so I just continued. And you see I'm not pitching up violently or add power violently, just a smooth transition into flying again. This is another aborted landing in the Skycomish River. Everything seems perfect, great conditions, but when I turn into final, the sun is in my eyes and I see absolutely nothing. So immediately I decide I'm aborting the landing and I'm not going to try again because I have to come back when the conditions are different. At this point I was suspecting that the sun could be a factor for the landing, so I was preparing myself to abort this landing. Here is when I start to get blinded by the sun and get worse and worse, so I just add power and try to climb over the trees. At some point I could not even see the trees, I had to climb over. Once I was out of the sun, I saw the opportunity to land in a different gravel bar and took it since the conditions were really good. So as you can see, there are many reasons to go around or abort a landing, especially flying backcountry. And it's good to be prepared, do not panic, and make a transition as smooth as possible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to support Backcountry 182 YouTube channel, please join me on Patreon. The way to do it is just after this takeoff that you're going to see. And see you next time. Thank you for watching. Go to my YouTube channel, the link is in the description of this video, and navigate below Backcountry 182 on the top right. You can click on Patreon and it will take you to the Patreon page where you can select your membership level. It will show you the peers and everything. By becoming a Patreon for Backcountry 182, you will not only be helping the YouTube channel, but you can also get. Go to my YouTube channel, the link is in the description of this video, and navigate below Backcountry 182 on the top right. You can click on Patreon and it will take you to the Patreon page where you can select your membership level. It will show you the peers and everything. By becoming a Patreon for Backcountry 182, you will not only be helping the YouTube channel, but you can also get